The Galactic Council chamber was silent when the human envoy entered. The room was shaped like a great circle, filled with hundreds of alien representatives. Tall windows showed the stars outside glowing blue and gold. At the center of the chamber stood a circular table with a single glowing platform. That was where Ambassador Cole of Earth walked slowly, his black and silver uniform catching the light. Every alien eye followed him. Some were curious. Many were cold. The air was thick with judgment. Council President Lurak, a tall being with crystal skin and a deep voice, raised his hand. "Ambassador Cole," he said slowly, "you stand here today to answer for your species' actions. The evidence has been presented. The floor will show all." The lights dimmed. A holographic screen appeared above the council floor. It showed a quiet alien colony on the edge of the galaxy. Ships appeared, sleek, sharp, fast. Their weapons opened fire on the colony without warning. Buildings exploded. Civilians screamed. A flag appeared on one of the ships. The flag of Earth. Gasps spread through the chamber. Representatives shouted in different languages. Some slammed their desks. Others turned to glare at Cole. "This is false." Cole stepped forward. His voice echoed. "These recordings are not real. Humanity did not attack that colony." Lurak's cold eyes stared at him. "The evidence speaks for itself." Cole clenched his fists. "Someone has edited this transmission. Look at the ship IDs. The energy signatures. Those are not ours. We can prove it." But his words were drowned out by the noise. A reptilian delegate hissed. "Humans always bring war." "They pretend to be peaceful," shouted another alien, "but they hide their true power." A metallic alien pounded the table. "The council must act before it's too late." President Lurak raised his hand again. The chamber quieted. "We have heard the humans. We have seen the evidence. The time for talk is over." Cole's heart sank. He knew what was coming. One by one, the alien delegates cast their votes. Holographic lights blinked red or green over their seats. One after another, red, accusation, judgment, sanctions. A soft robotic voice echoed through the hall. Resolution passed. Earth is declared a hostile power. Trade will be cut. All member states will restrict travel to and from human space. Patrol fleets will begin surveillance of Sol Sector. The words hit Cole like a hammer. "No, you're making a mistake," he said, stepping forward. "If you do this, you will regret it. Humanity will not accept being treated like criminals for something we didn't do." Lurak stood. His crystal skin glowed cold light. "Then convince your people to surrender your fleets and weapons to council oversight. If you truly are innocent, you have nothing to fear." Cole stared at him, disbelief turning slowly into steel. "You're not asking for proof," he said softly. "You're demanding submission." The council chamber buzzed. Many aliens avoided his gaze. A few looked uneasy, but most stared with quiet satisfaction. The vote had given them power over Earth. Cole turned slowly, looking at each row of alien faces. "You crossed the line today," he said quietly. "You don't see it yet, but you will." Then he walked off the central platform. As he exited the chamber, the doors shut behind him with a heavy sound. Outside his aide, a young woman in Earth's diplomatic uniform ran up to him. "They passed it," she said, breathless. "Unanimous except for 2 abstains. Trade bans start next cycle. Patrol fleets are already moving." Cole kept walking down the bright corridor. "They wanted this," he said. "They were waiting for any excuse." She lowered her voice. "What do we do now?" He stopped. The stars outside the corridor windows shone like cold eyes. "We go home," he said, "and we prepare." Back inside the chamber, some alien delegates whispered to each other. "Will the humans submit?" one asked. "They will have no choice," another replied. "Without trade, without allies, they will break. They are still young." But a few quieter voices spoke in worried tones. "What if the humans don't break?" said an elderly alien with soft silver skin. "What if they respond?" President Lurak dismissed the thought. "They are only one world," he said. "The council rules the galaxy." Far away on the blue planet called Earth, the news spread quickly. Screens lit up in cities. People filled the streets in shock, anger, and fear. Some asked why the aliens turned against them. Others whispered that this was only the beginning. In a secure base under the Atlantic Ocean, military commanders received the same transmission. They sat in silence for a long time. Then one of them spoke. They crossed the line. Above Earth, in secret orbital shipyards, silent shadows moved. Massive shapes hidden behind cloaking fields. Engines powered up slowly. Systems came online. Humanity's secrets were awakening. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the real attackers, the ones who faked the transmission, watched everything with cold, quiet satisfaction. The Council thought they understood humanity, but they had no idea what was coming. The air in the Atlantic Defense Command bunker was heavy. Deep beneath the ocean, away from satellites and alien scanners, the most powerful people on Earth sat around a long steel table. Holograms floated above the center, showing star maps, Council patrol routes, and the red warning. Hostile nation declared. President Elena Rivera of the Global Union spoke first. Her voice was calm, but her hands were clenched. "They've cut us off," she said. "All trade, all communication, every Council route is now restricted. Alien patrol fleets are already moving toward the Sol system. They've treated us like criminals, without a trial." A military general leaned forward. His face was marked by years of battles. This was never about justice. They were waiting for a chance to cage us. Now they've found it. An older scientist adjusted his glasses. "They believe we are weak, that Earth is divided, that we will bend." The room fell silent for a moment. Everyone knew the truth. Humanity had always argued among itself. Different nations, different interests. But now, for the first time in history, the entire planet faced the same enemy. Ambassador Cole appeared on a hologram, broadcasting from his ship on the way back from the Council station. His voice was firm. "We tried diplomacy. They never intended to listen. Now we must decide who we are. Do we surrender or stand?" President Rivera looked around the table. "You all know what surrender means. We hand over our fleets, our weapons, our freedom. The Council will control our defenses. Earth will no longer be independent." A murmur of anger filled the room. General Malik slammed his fist on the table. "Never," he said. "We will not kneel. We have bled too much for freedom to give it away now." Rivera nodded slowly. "Then we must prepare. And quickly. They think they know us. They don't." She pressed a small switch. The lights in the room dimmed. A massive star map unfolded above the table, showing hidden shipyards, stealth stations, and classified routes that the Council didn't know about. Some had been built in secret for decades under special programs. Humanity had planned for a day like this. Even if most of the galaxy thought they were harmless, the scientist spoke softly. "Project Dawnshield, Project Titan, and the Outer Sentinel fleets, all still operational." Cole's hologram nodded. "They think we're surrounded. But they're the ones who don't see what's coming." All over the planet, messages spread quietly through secure networks. Military reserves were activated under the cover of training exercises. Orbital shipyards received silent green codes. Thousands of engineers returned to their stations. In a desert base, massive doors opened to reveal long-hidden hangars. Starships black and silver slept beneath layers of dust and secrecy. Engines powered up, humming like a storm was building. On the moon, construction crews sealed off tunnels that led to a hidden command center. Lights flickered to life deep underground. The words appeared on a central screen. Dawn Strike Protocol, active. Meanwhile, in orbit, a civilian freighter tried to leave Earth for a distant mining colony. But before it could reach jump range, a group of alien patrol ships intercepted it. The aliens boarded, inspected, and broadcast the entire scene live across Council networks. They searched every cargo container, mocked the human crew, and accused them of smuggling weapons. The captain, an old freighter pilot, stood tall and said nothing. The footage spread like wildfire. Across human cities, millions watched in silence. The aliens weren't just isolating Earth, they were humiliating it. Anger began to burn. People filled the streets, not in panic, but in unity. Flags from different nations were raised side by side. In public squares, leaders spoke to their people. "We stand as one," President Rivera declared in a global broadcast. "This is not the end of Earth. This is the beginning of something new." In the orbital command center, General Malik watched the alien patrol footage with a cold stare. "They're testing us," he said. "They want to see how far they can push." An admiral beside him nodded. "We've been silent too long. It's time to remind them why humans should never be underestimated." Malik gave a single command: "Activate Shadow Squadron." In the darkness of deep space, far from alien sensors, a group of stealth ships detached from their hidden stations. Sleek and deadly, they moved like sharks through water. No signal, no light. Just silence. Their target, the alien patrol fleet that humiliated the freighter. Hours later, the patrol fleet floated calmly near a jump gate. Suddenly, their lights flickered. Systems went offline. Confused alien voices filled the channels. Then, one by one, every alien ship was disabled with precision strikes to their engines and communication relays. No one died. No shots hit life support. But the message was clear. You are not untouchable. The alien crews were left drifting, stunned. And though no one could trace it, the aliens whispered the same name through their networks. Humans. The Council didn't expect this response. Their surveillance showed Earth staying quiet. But something had changed. Reports came in. Patrol fleets jammed. Human defense satellites reactivated. Unknown fleets moving in dark zones. Council analysts couldn't explain it. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt uncertainty. Back in the Atlantic bunker, Cole's hologram flickered back into the room. They'll think this was a warning, he said. And they'll be right. But the real storm hasn't even started. President Rivera looked at the star map where hundreds of human ships now glowed. Her voice was steady. They wanted to treat us like criminals. They'll soon learn what happens when you push humanity too far. In the black of space far beyond the orbit of Pluto, enormous shadows moved. These were not small ships. These were titans, planet-sized structures built in silence. They had waited patiently for years, hidden in the cold dark. Now, one by one, their engines awakened. The response had begun. The alien patrol fleets arrived earlier than expected. Their silver and green ships surrounded the outer human trade routes like a tightening noose. They called it monitoring. Humanity called it a blockade. In the dark space beyond Mars, a convoy of civilian ships was moving slowly toward the outer colonies. These were miners, traders, and families who lived on the edges of human space. They were unarmed, peaceful. But halfway through their journey, 6 alien warships dropped out of hyperspace, blocking their path. "Human convoy," came a cold alien voice through the comms. "You are entering restricted space. Stop your engines. Prepare for inspection." The human captain, a middle-aged woman with steel-gray eyes, answered calmly. "This is a trade route. We have full clearance under Council law." "Not anymore," the alien replied. "Earth is hostile. All ships are subject to search and seizure." Without waiting for consent, the alien ships surrounded the convoy. Drones latched onto hulls. Cargo containers were ripped open. The aliens scanned every corner, broadcasting the search live across Council networks. Billions of aliens across the galaxy watched the footage. The message was clear. Humanity was under their control now. Back on Earth in the orbital command center, General Malik watched the broadcast with his jaw clenched. "They're humiliating us," he muttered. Again, President Rivera appeared on the screen beside him. "They're testing our patience," she said. "But they still don't believe we'll fight." Malik turned to his officers. "Then it's time to make our first move." Hours later, far from the Council's sensors, a black, sleek ship emerged from the darkness near the asteroid belt. It belonged to Shadow Squadron, the same unit that had quietly disabled the first patrol fleet days ago. But this mission was different. This time the galaxy would notice. Inside the lead stealth ship, Commander Aisha Khan floated in her chair, eyes fixed on the holographic projection of the alien formation. "They think they're safe because they're live on the Council broadcast," she said. "Let's show them what happens when you corner a human." Her squadron responded with quiet nods. No cheers, no arrogance, just cold focus. She gave a single order: engage. The alien warships were still inspecting the convoy when their lights suddenly flickered. One by one, their shields collapsed without warning. Confused voices filled the comms. "What is happening?" "System error." Before they could react, a wave of invisible projectiles ripped through their engines with surgical precision. No explosions, no panic, just sudden silence. One alien captain shouted, "Unknown ships detected. They're inside our formation." But it was already too late. Shadow Squadron moved like ghosts. They cut power lines, disabled weapons, and took control of communication relays, all within minutes. The alien fleet was left drifting in space, powerless. Then, from one of the human freighters, a message was broadcast live to every Council channel. "Earth may be silent, but we are not weak. You attacked peaceful ships. This is your only warning. Leave our skies." Billions of beings across the galaxy watched in shock. The Council had promised that Earth was contained. But this single flawless strike told a different story. The Council chambers erupted with chaos. Representatives shouted, argued, and demanded answers. Council President Lurok slammed the table with his crystal hand. "Who authorized this?" he roared. "How could humans attack a patrol fleet so quickly?" An aide rushed forward with data. "Sir," their ships were never detected. It was as if they appeared out of nowhere. "That's impossible," Lurok hissed. "Humans don't have that kind of technology." But deep down, some of the older council members exchanged uneasy looks. They remembered the quiet years when humans were building but never boasting. In the Atlantic bunker, President Rivera watched the reports with a cold expression. Around her, military officers whispered. "We could have destroyed them," one admiral said. Rivera shook her head. "No, that was the point. We showed strength without bloodshed, but the Council won't back down. They'll see this as defiance." Ambassador Cole appeared on the screen from orbit. "They will call it aggression," he said. "They'll prepare a coalition fleet." General Malik nodded. "Good, let them come. They still don't know what's waiting for them in the dark." As predicted, within hours the Council declared that Earth had attacked lawful patrol fleets. A coalition of alien species announced that a limited intervention would begin to restore order in Sol sector. In Council broadcasts, alien admirals appeared with confident smiles. "The humans are brave," one said, "but foolish. They cannot stand against the galaxy." What they didn't know was that Earth's admirals were already preparing something far beyond anyone's expectations. Operation Dawnstrike. In the hidden Lunar Command Center, Admiral Haruto stood before a massive display. Red lines showed the incoming alien fleets. Blue lines showed hidden human formations spread across the solar system. Silent, cloaked, waiting. He turned to his officers. "They will expect us to defend Earth directly," he said. "But we won't wait. We will control the field before they even arrive." A young officer asked, "Sir, do we go public with our capabilities?" "Not yet," Haruto replied. "Let them underestimate us a little longer." Meanwhile, among the human population, something began to change. People who once lived separate lives now stood united. Soldiers from different nations trained side by side. Colonists sent resources back to Earth. Scientists worked around the clock. The fear was fading. In its place grew a quiet, burning determination. On the streets, a simple phrase spread like fire. They crossed the line. Far away, in deep space, a Council scout ship detected strange readings beyond Neptune. For a moment, their instruments picked up massive energy signatures. Then nothing. The captain reported nervously, "Command, I think there's something out here. Big." But by the time the Council reviewed the signal, the ship was gone. In the darkness beyond the solar system, gigantic shapes floated silently. They were too large to be simple warships. Their metal hulls absorbed light. Their engines were silent. They had been waiting patiently for years, and now their time was coming. The stars over the solar system were calm, quiet, almost peaceful. But behind that silence, something huge was about to happen. On the edge of the system, a massive coalition fleet jumped out of hyperspace. Dozens of alien species had joined forces under the Galactic Council's command. Their ships filled the darkness like a floating city. Cruisers, battleships, carriers, and patrol vessels. Flashing lights stretched across the black like an artificial constellation. From their bridge, Admiral Corrin of the Solari Dominion looked down at the tactical screen with a proud smile. "They won't even try to fight," he said. "They'll see our numbers and surrender." His second officer, a smaller lizard-like alien, nodded eagerly. "The humans have spirit, Admiral, but they're still young. They can't match this fleet." The Council had promised a simple mission: surround the solar system, make Earth surrender, capture their fleets, end it before humans became a real threat. But deep inside the darkness near Neptune, human eyes were already watching. In a hidden command station orbiting Triton, Admiral Haruto stood surrounded by glowing holographic displays. Red dots represented the alien coalition. Blue dots, barely visible, were human defense fleets waiting silently in ambush. "They've arrived," an officer said. Haruto nodded slowly. "Exactly where we expected." "They're confident. Good." On the main screen, an image of the enemy fleet appeared. It was massive. To any outsider, Earth would seem hopelessly outnumbered, but Haruto didn't look worried. Instead, he gave a small smile. They still think we're playing by their rules. He turned to his staff. Signal the outer Sentinel fleet. Phase 1 begins now. Far beyond Neptune, where sunlight was nothing more than a faint glow, the dark moved. At first, the alien sensors picked up faint distortions, like static in deep space. Then giant shadows began to emerge, one after another. These were not ordinary warships. Each was the size of a small moon. Their armored hulls were layered with reflective plating that made them invisible to most scanners. For years, humanity had built them in hidden orbital rings around far-off gas giants, keeping them cloaked from prying alien eyes. Now they slowly powered up. Massive engines glowed faint blue. Energy fields rippled like waves. Their names were simple but powerful: Atlas, Hyperion, Valkyrie, Titan. Each one carried weapons and defense systems that no alien had ever seen before. On the alien flagship, alarms began to sound. "Admiral Corrin," shouted the sensor officer. "New contacts, massive signatures. Sector Delta 4! Corrin frowned. "How many ships?" The officer hesitated. "Not ships, sir. Structures, they're enormous." The main screen switched to a live feed. Out of the darkness, the first human warship appeared. Its black hull reflected faint starlight. Its surface was smooth, without markings. No banners. No arrogance. It moved like a predator. Then another appeared. And another. And another. The alien bridge fell silent. Corrin whispered, "What are those?" At the same moment, across the solar system, every human channel broadcast a single message. It was clear, cold, and powerful. "To all Council fleets, you are entering sovereign space. Stand down immediately. This is your only warning. We will not allow hostile forces to occupy our home." The message came not from one ship, but from all the hidden human fleets at once. It echoed through the alien communication systems, translated into hundreds of languages. The alien officers stared at each other. They had never seen humans speak like this. Not begging, not apologizing, commanding. Back on Earth, millions of people watched the transmission on their screens. In cities, in colonies, in orbital stations, everyone felt the same shiver run through their bodies. For decades, the galaxy had looked down on humanity. Now, for the first time, the galaxy was looking up. On the Council Fleet Bridge, Admiral Corrin ordered, "Raise shields. Prepare defensive formation." But the humans didn't attack. Not yet, they simply advanced. Their massive ships moved with terrifying silence, surrounding the alien formation in a precise pattern. A nervous alien officer whispered, "Sir, they're boxing us in." Corrin's mouth went dry. "That's impossible. They don't have this kind of control." Yet the human ships moved like clockwork, each one perfectly positioned. Behind them, smaller human escort ships uncloaked, revealing coordinated formations and glowing weapon arrays that pulsed like living stars. Inside the human flagship Titan, Admiral Haruto watched calmly. "They're panicking," he said. "Exactly as planned." One of his officers asked, "Do we engage, sir?" "Not yet," Haruto replied. "They need to understand first." He sent out one more transmission. "We don't want your war, but if you take one more step toward Earth, we will erase this fleet from the stars." His voice was firm but quiet, like someone stating a fact rather than a threat. Back in the council chamber across the galaxy, the representatives watched the live broadcast. At first, they had laughed when the alien fleet surrounded the solar system. But now, the laughter had stopped. Some stared in disbelief. Others whispered nervously. The sight of human moon-sized warships surrounding their greatest fleet was something none of them expected. Council President Lurok stood frozen, crystal skin glowing dim. "This can't be real," he whispered. "How did they build that?" No one answered. On the alien flagship, panic grew. Some captains urged retreat. Others demanded attack. Corrin looked at his display. His fleet was powerful, yes, but the human ships had already targeted every critical system. One wrong move, and it would all be over. Finally, he gave the order. "Hold position. Do not provoke them." For several long minutes, space was silent. Two mighty forces faced each other. The aliens, confident hours ago, now sat in fear. The humans, underestimated for years, now held the high ground. In that silence, something changed forever. The galaxy saw humanity not as a young, reckless race, but as a sleeping giant that had finally opened its eyes. On Earth, Ambassador Cole stood in the global broadcast studio. The world watched as he spoke. They thought we were alone, weak, divided. They were wrong. Today the galaxy knows our strength. We will defend our home, not with words, but with truth and power. If they cross the line again, they will not return. His speech echoed through colonies and stations, stirring something deep in human hearts. Pride, unity, power. In the cold void near Neptune, the alien fleet began slowly pulling back. They had seen enough to know this was no bluff, but among them a few commanders stared at the human fleet with burning hatred. Retreat did not mean surrender, and somewhere in the shadows of the council, someone was already planning the next move. The alien fleet hovered on the edge of the solar system, silent and uneasy. Their admirals whispered across encrypted channels, weighing their options. They had expected fear. Instead, they had met giants. Admiral Corrin of the Solari Dominion stared at the human superfleet on his screen. They were still there, silent, dark, and powerful. His officers waited for his command. Retreat? One asked. Or attack? Corrin's jaw tightened. We can't return home without a show of strength. If we flee now, the council will call us cowards. But if we attack, the officer said softly, we may not return at all. Corrin looked at the fleet behind him. Some captains were already breaking formation, their fear clear. Others burned with pride. Among the coalition were species who had long hated humans, not for what they'd done, but for what they might become. One voice rose through the channels, sharp and angry. Admiral Threx of the Cortal Dominion shouted, Enough waiting. They are only humans. We strike now and crush their arrogance. Several alien fleets agreed. Weapons powered up. The glow of their cannons lit the darkness like distant suns. On board the human flagship Titan, Admiral Haruto watched the energy signatures rise on his display. His face remained calm. There it is, he said. Pride wins again. His officer turned to him. Orders, sir? Haruto's voice was steady. Defensive grid online. Shadow squadrons, ready for strike. The massive human ships began to move, their formations shifting smoothly like gears in a giant machine. Shield grids activated, creating glowing layers around Earth's space. Smaller human ships, fast and agile, took hidden positions behind asteroids and moons. Operation Dawnstrike had begun. Without warning, a volley of plasma beams fired from the alien coalition. The first shots hit human shields near Neptune. The explosions were massive, lighting up the dark like supernovas. But the shields didn't break. They absorbed and redirected the energy into glowing defense rings. Alien crews gasped. Their shields? They're reflecting the blasts. Inside Titan, Haruto gave a quiet nod. Fire. The human response was precise, cold, and devastating. From behind Neptune's shadow squadrons uncloaked, unleashing coordinated railgun fire that cut through the alien vanguard like knives through glass. Alien ships spun wildly, their engines crippled before they even knew where the shots came from. Human targeting AIs focused on critical systems only. No random destruction, no wasted fire. A Cortal cruiser tried to flank, but from behind Saturn's rings, 3 stealth destroyers emerged and shredded it to pieces with pinpoint railgun bursts. The battle had begun. Admiral Corrin shouted, Regroup! Regroup! But the alien fleet was already fracturing. Half of the captains hadn't expected a real fight. Some froze. Others charged blindly. Haruto watched their chaos unfold with a tactician's eye. They don't understand how fast we are, he said. They think we'll fight like they do. A massive alien dreadnought fired a superlaser toward the Titan fleet. The beam lit up space like a burning spear. For a moment it seemed unstoppable, but then 2 human warships shifted position, their shield generators linking into a reflective barrier. The beam split into 2 and curved away into the void like water around a rock. Alien officers stared at their failing weapons in disbelief. Then came humanity's real answer. Haruto raised his hand. Dawnstrike Phase 2. The colossal human warships Atlas, Valkyrie, Hyperion opened their weapon bays. What came out was not simple fire. It was a storm. Thousands of guided projectiles, rail slugs, and energy bursts fired simultaneously. Each shot had a target. Each target was chosen to disable, not slaughter. In less than 3 minutes, entire sections of the alien fleet went dark. Their engines died. Their communication arrays were severed. Ships spun helplessly. The galaxy had never seen this kind of warfare before. Not brute force. Not chaos. Calculated dominance. In the council chamber across the galaxy, the live feed played on every screen. Delegates watched with pale faces as the coalition fleet was dismantled. "This can't be happening," whispered one. "They're not supposed to win." "They're not just winning," another replied. "They're rewriting the rules." President Lurok slammed his crystal hand on the table. "Stop the feed! Stop it now!" But the feed spread across every network, unstoppable. Billions of alien citizens were watching, and what they saw would never be forgotten. Back in the solar system, the alien coalition was breaking. Some ships surrendered, flashing white lights. Others tried to run. The human fleet let them go, a deliberate decision. But a core group led by Admiral Threx refused to surrender. His ships turned and made a desperate charge straight toward Earth. "They want to make us bleed," Haruto said quietly. "Then let them come." Human defense grids shifted. Stealth fighters swarmed like angry hornets. Threx's flagship reached firing range, only to be hit by 20 simultaneous strikes from hidden platforms. It cracked in half before it could fire. The last of the attackers were surrounded. Their weapons powered down one by one. Haruto gave the final command. Broadcast. Across all channels in every language, the message echoed, "We didn't start this war, but if you bring it to our home, we will finish it. Leave now or you will not return." Silence followed. The alien fleet slowly turned and jumped away, limping, broken, humiliated. On Earth, the people erupted into cheers. Screens lit up in every city. Families, soldiers, scientists, all watched the moment their planet stood firm against the galaxy. Ambassador Cole appeared on the global broadcast. His voice carried pride and warning. "Today we answered their attack. We showed them who we are. Humanity does not kneel. We rise." In the darkness beyond the stars, some alien leaders watched the defeat with fear, others with hatred. The balance of power had changed forever, and not everyone would accept it. The Council planned to control humanity. Instead, they had awakened something far greater. And this was only the beginning. The stars above Earth were quiet again. The alien fleet was gone. Only the silent wreckage of a few disabled ships floated in the outer system, a reminder of the battle that had changed everything. In orbit around the moon, human repair crews worked day and night to clean the battle sites. Ships returned to their docks. Soldiers who had held their breath through the storm now looked out of their viewports at the stars, not with fear, but with new eyes. For the first time in galactic history, it wasn't the Council giving the orders. It was humanity setting the tone. Deep inside the Atlantic Command bunker, world leaders, military commanders, and scientists gathered again. This time, their faces carried something new, pride and certainty. President Rivera stood at the head of the table. "The galaxy has seen us," she said simply. "They know what we can do. But victory is not the end. It's the beginning." On the screen behind her, images showed reactions from alien worlds. Some cities were holding protests against the Council's failed leadership. Others demanded answers about the lost fleets. Messages from alien citizens flooded human communication lines. Not insults, but offers, trade, dialogue, even alliances. Cole, recently returned from his journey, stood beside Rivera. "Many species were never truly against us," he said. "Some feared the Council. Some believed their lies. Now they've seen the truth. We have a chance to reshape everything." Meanwhile, in the Council chamber light years away, chaos ruled. The great circular hall was no longer calm and majestic. Delegates shouted at one another, blaming different factions for the failure. Some accused President Lurok of arrogance. Others accused the Kortal fleet of starting the war too early. One representative slammed the table. "You told us humans were weak." Lurok's crystal body flickered as he shouted back, "They were supposed to be. No one could have built those ships in secret. No one." But evidence was clear. The recordings of the battle had spread across the galaxy. The Council's authority had been shattered. Several alien factions announced their withdrawal from the coalition. Others refused to pay for the lost ships. Some simply walked out of the chamber. Lurok looked around at the chaos and understood, perhaps for the first time, that the Council would never be the same again. On Earth, Ambassador Cole gave a speech that would echo for generations. He stood at the United Earth Assembly, his image broadcast across human colonies and alien channels alike. "For too long," he began, "the Council thought of us as children, as a small world they could control. They lied about us. They attacked us. They crossed the line." He paused, letting the silence sink in. "We could have answered with fear. We could have surrendered. But instead we stood, not because we wanted war, but because we wanted respect. And now the galaxy knows humanity will not be ruled. Humanity will stand as an equal." The hall erupted in applause. People rose to their feet. Across distant colonies, families watching on screens felt a swell of emotion. For the first time in centuries, humans were not just surviving. They were defining their place among the stars. In orbit, the Atlas, Valkyrie, and Titan fleets remained deployed but silent. Their sheer presence sent a clear message. Earth would never be caught unprepared again. But inside those massive ships, conversations had already begun, not about conquering, but about how to lead wisely. Admiral Haruto looked out from Titan's bridge at the blue glow of Earth below. An officer approached. "Sir, some alien envoys are already requesting talks. They want guarantees and trade." Haruto gave a faint smile. "Let them come. But this time on our terms." Far away, in hidden corners of the galaxy, not everyone accepted the new balance. In a dark chamber, alien figures met in secret. Their faces were masked, their voices low. "The Council is broken," one said, "and humanity has taken its place at the center. If they are not stopped now, they will become the new rulers." Another figure leaned forward. "Then we wait. We rebuild, and when the time comes, we strike where they least expect it." The shadows swallowed their words. A new enemy was already forming in silence. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to a new kind of normal. Streets filled with people carrying both relief and pride. Children looked up at the night sky, pointing at the glowing lights of the human fleets. Old rivalries between nations began to fade. There was a sense that humanity had crossed a point of no return together. For once, they were united not by fear, but by choice. In the quiet of her office, President Rivera watched the stars from her window. Cole entered behind her. "It's strange," she said softly. "For so long we dreamed about being accepted by the galaxy. And now, they look at us with fear and respect." Cole nodded. "Respect is earned, not given. We earned it the hard way." She turned to him. "Do you think they'll try again?" Cole's eyes were steady. "Yes, someone always does. But next time they'll think twice before crossing that line." Weeks later, in the rebuilt Galactic Council chamber, a historic meeting took place. For the first time, a human representative sat at the central table. Cole entered wearing the dark blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. The alien delegates watched him, not with mockery this time, but with quiet caution. He sat down, calm and unshaken. "We are not here to conquer," he said, "but we will no longer be pawns. From this moment forward, the galaxy will not have one voice. It will have many, and ours will be one of them." No one dared interrupt him. Above Earth, the human superfleet slowly rotated in silent formation, their hulls catching the light of the sun. To anyone watching from afar, they looked like sentinels, standing guard over a planet that had finally found its voice. The galaxy had crossed a line. Humanity had drawn a new one. Beyond that line, nothing would ever be the same again.